Good evening. Welcome to Meet the Depressed. My name is Edwin Stanton. Tonight we were talking with Julia, whose life was made famous many years ago by then President Barack Obama. Good evening, Julia.
Good evening to you, Edwin. It's great to be here.
My first question, one that our audience is dying to know, is what is your last name?
That's a good question, Edwin. Unfortunately, I was never told. As a composite female, my state creators believed that a last name could be confusing.
That must have made things a bit difficult for you.
Not at all, Edwin. The government took care of all the details.
Yes. I forgot. Your biography starts out with your sudden appearance at age 3. At that time you were enrolled in Head Start. How did that prepare you for kindergarten?
Well, Edwin, by the time I enrolled in kindergarten, I had completely mastered the first half of the alphabet. By the time I completed junior high, I was well on my way to learning 4th grade reading and math skills.
Now, that is quite an accomplishment. Then because of Obama's Race to the Top program, I assume you did quite well on your college entrance exams.
You would think. But the program became a joke because of objections from corrupt teachers' unions. It would have been better named Child Left Behind.
So how did you pass your college boards?
I took advantage of a loophole in the American for Disabilities Act that naming composite Democrat females a minority. Plus, I'm 1/16th Cherokee, according to my cousin Elizabeth.
But you did make it to college. Is that true?
Yes. But here is where the timeline gets a little mixed up.
Please explain.
Well, the timeline has me becoming a mother after working as a web designer for 4 years. In actuality, I got pregnant after a frat party my freshman year as a result of inferior government-issued birth control pills.
Well, that had to complicate matters somewhat.
It did. But after a few years I finished my associate's degree and began work.
As a web designer?
Actually, in the secretarial pool of a web design firm. The government thought web designer sounded better.
And were you able to pay off your student loans?
Yes. It took about 10 years longer than I had hoped. But after Sallie Mae went bankrupt, my interest rate rose to 4%.
How unfortunate. Thank goodness you qualified for President Obama's $10,000 education credit.
Actually, it was only $4,000. Since I didn't have a tax liability, I was only able to use the refundable portion.
Okay. So at what point did you start your own web design business?
What?
At what point did you start your own web design business?
I didn't. I wanted to, but the Small Business Administration loan guidelines made it impossible for me to borrow the money.
And what of your son Zachary? What happened to him after he headed off to school?
I don't know. He just disappeared from the timeline.
Very interesting. And now you are living comfortably on Social Security and volunteering in a community garden. I imagine you find that quite rewarding.
Actually, I still have to work part-time as a checkout clerk in a grocery store. My full Social Security benefits don't begin until I'm 75. They say it has something to do with insolvency from mismanagement back in the 20s. But I do love to walk past the garden on my way to work.
Well, Julia, thank you for a most enlightening look at your life.
Thank you, Edwin. It's been a real pleasure.
Next week, we have a real treat. We located Julia's son Zachary on an unpublished part of Julia's website. We will be interviewing Zachary to learn what happened to him after he boarded the school bus for kindergarten. Until then, I am Edwin Stanton. Thank you for watching us on Meet the Depressed.